Welcome back to Have You Met Her Yet? I am with Lindsay Johnson, the Radical Connector. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and talking to you. I am in love with your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you enjoy it. So, to get started, I want to know a little bit more about yourself. If you can share your story, what you do, and how did you get to where you are currently today in your career?
Okay, that is a giant question. Do you have 30 minutes? No.
Yep.
So as a matter of fact, we do. So my company, myself, the Radical Connector, I really am about helping first-time entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs learn how to build a business. And specifically, I talk a lot about or teach a lot about how to understand your market and really connect and sell to them with attraction based principles. I'm all about helping you become an irresistible person and build a business that people can't stop talking about. Now, how did I get into that? Well, it's definitely been a lifetime in the making. I am one of those people who has never worked in the corporate world. I grew up surrounded by entrepreneurs, by an entrepreneurial mother and father. And so it was just a very natural and normal thing for me. It never felt like a natural fit to be working a 9 to 5. In fact, most jobs, if I ever did have a traditional job, I didn't last very long.
Yeah.
One part because I am independent and I don't like being told what to do. And I'm not one for being super diplomatic for with people. Let's just be honest. I like to do things my way, which is why I'm an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. But also because I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this. You know, when you're somebody who's full of ideas and you are being micromanaged or having to go through a lot of red tape and processes, and you cannot let your ideas shine, that's very frustrating to work in. And so it just was never a good fit for me because I was never able to really fully, birth my ideas and bring things to life. Entrepreneurship is it's what's given me the ability to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a lifelong road of understanding what it takes to build a business, but also developing my own entrepreneurial skills and instincts.
Amazing, amazing. And so, how long ago did you launch your business?
So the Radical Connector is 6 years old, but like most people, it went through a couple of iterations as I was understanding my market and how to best serve them, but also really connecting to what was important to me and what I wanted to do, how I wanted to change the world. So it's been 6 years in the making, but I,
Wow.
I I really think about the business as it exists now. It's only really been about 3 years old, and those first 3 years were a lot of learning,
Yeah.
and also I went through some pretty traumatic stuff that also took a bit of precedence for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and so I love it because it's been 6 years, but really the last 3 years has been when I've tapped into what makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's incredible. To have a business for 6 years, have one that's been strong for another three, that's really, really incredible to have. When you launched your business and when you started to get going, are you able to share a little bit more about some of the struggles or the doubts that you might have gone through?
For sure. So even though my business is only 6 years old, I have been in the world of business forever. And so I have really been a student of understanding marketing, sales, community building, networking, really understanding what it takes to get a business off the ground and what works and what doesn't, and how best to build up like what do you want to say, like your sort of social clout, your social lovability, the know,
Right.
like, trust factor. And so as I've been learning and studying that, when I started my business, I was very determined that I wanted to do it my way. So if there were people I didn't want to work with, I didn't. If there was, activities I didn't want to partake in, I didn't. And there was a lot of doubt in the beginning because, of course, you get
Mhm.
people who have businesses who are very successful telling you, everybody when you start a business is very happy to tell you what to do, right?
Of course.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so it took a lot of guts to be able to trust myself when something didn't feel right. And that doesn't mean that I didn't still sometimes go down those avenues that weren't right for me. But it was
Hmm.
the ability to go, hang on, this doesn't feel good. It's not working the way I want it to work, and being able to turn around and go a different direction. So I think that was I'm not going to say a struggle, but that was a point of extreme growth that I had to go through. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do, which is that trusting of your gut and really building it your way.
Yes, yes, definitely. No, that's incredible, that you've been able to find a space and a confidence to run with what you want to do and own it. And, it's exactly built out to something that you wanted. Throughout your process and even now, did you have any mentors or anyone else that you sort of looked up to?
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, I had a lot. I've had a few folks who I've either really respected the way that they build their business. I love their strategies or their systems that I just follow more informally. And then I have had people that I've really leaned on for business advice or suggestions, or help me kind of crack the nut of my own problems as I grew. I'm a big advocate for like surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
especially folks who are a couple years ahead of you.
right.
It's harder when you're with people who are 10 years ahead of you, 5 years ahead of you, because it's easy to forget where we've come from and they're a little bit too far away. But if you can connect with people who are just a couple years ahead of you, it does really help you to see what's on the other side of the problem you're struggling with. They're close enough to that they can counsel you, and really, for entrepreneurs just getting started, if you don't have a large entrepreneurial network, it gets lonely really quickly. And
Definitely.
people who aren't building a business, they don't necessarily know what it's like, and the sacrifice and the struggle and just the like sheer coming out of your comfort zone and imposter syndrome we have to deal with when we're doing something.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
having being
absolutely.
surrounded by entrepreneurs is a big thing, and having people that you look up to is a huge thing that can help and give you advice. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to ask. I think that we
Yeah.
have this pressure to know everything, do everything, be everything, and we feel like we have to put that perfection out there, and it stops us. It really does stop our growth when we're not able to ask for help and get help.
Definitely, especially being like a one woman show, being someone who runs their business on their own, having, I guess, like the courage to ask for help is really, really important because it's definitely lonely. It's definitely a place that can limit you if you're not open to getting advice and seeking guidance. So I definitely agree with that. I think having other people who are on sort of the similar wavelength, they have the same sort of mindset, and they can see outside as well, because
Yeah.
sometimes you need to get out from your mind, seek outside resources, and get people to kind of lead you down a different path, or just open your mind in different ways that you haven't been able to.
Absolutely. I think understanding that you don't know everything, and what you don't know, it's okay to not know things, and you need to
Definitely.
expect to not know things, right?
Yes.
I think of this one time. So when my company first started, it was actually called the Networking Boutique, and
Oh, okay.
it was a super cute brand, anyways. And I was really more focused on teaching networking and community building as a way to build your business. Uh, uh, One of the things that I found out is entrepreneurs don't care about that. And so I had to rebrand, which is what I did. But before that, what I was finding is I was getting a lot of corporate work and doing a lot of corporate workshops and trainings. And I mean, I didn't know what I should be charging. I didn't, because I'm not
Right.
from that, right? And I
Yeah.
remember the first time I ever did it, I booked like my first workshop at a big corporation, and I gave them my rates. I was like, oh, it's like $500 for a 2 hour workshop or a 1 hour workshop.
Yep.
And they're like, okay. I was thinking, oh man, they said yes way too easy. I
Yeah.
think I
And then
undercharged.
you doubt
And
it.
right? I was like, oh man, you should charge more. And so yeah, so I had a friend who also did the same similar kind of work in terms of working in corporate and going in and working with their teams. And so again, it's like one of those people that they're a bit ahead of me so they can help. And I asked him, like, what should I be charging? And we talked it through. And that was hard at the time.
Yeah.
There was that ego hit, there was that I should know, I feel embarrassed. And it's like, I just think, wow, if I had been stuck in that embarrassment and not reaching out for help, you know, I would continue to be undercharging because I
Definitely.
charge a lot more now, right? But also, this really neat thing happens when you go to your entrepreneurial friends for advice and support. The way that you kind of build this deeper relationship also happens.
Mm.
So asking for help isn't, that you don't know it all and you're not perfect and it's, you look weak. It really does allow you to learn, which is essential, but it allows you to also deepen your relationships.
Definitely. No, I think that is such a great thing, to let other entrepreneurs know that it's okay to do that. And I mean, the whole pricing thing is so scary when you don't either, I don't know, if you don't believe in your worth or you don't know what your worth is, it's really, really hard to put a price tag on your services or your product. But the more you talk, the more you share, the more you connect with other people who are in your industry as well. I think it's such a big learning thing. But yeah, it's that little sense of embarrassment, pride that you're like, oh, I don't know, like I feel like an amateur, I can't really do this. But I mean, look how far ahead you are because you were able to do something like that. And I mean, I'm sure it was a really valid lesson for you to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, the minute I walked away from that meeting and I was like, oh, Lindsay.
Yeah.
But that is such a good point, right? About the ability to learn. And, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in your career or you're learning a new sport or you're learning to paint, whatever it is, whether you're a new mom in a new relationship, truly it is our capacity to learn and the
Yeah.
speed at which we learn is really going to dictate our success.
Yeah.
And to keep doing things wrong and there's this whole fake it till you make it concept you hear a lot of people talk about, and that's such a fallacy. It's so not a real thing, because when you're faking it, you're faking it. And that shows, it comes off, it triggers imposter syndrome. It feels creepy. And
Yeah.
trust me, other people are picking up on that, whether subconsciously or not. And
Definitely.
right. And it's like, no, we have to learn. We have to be vulnerable enough and courageous enough to let ourselves learn and let ourselves ask for help. And that's going to determine how fast you succeed at something.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. No, I completely, completely agree with that. So what would you say excites you or makes you feel passionate about being an entrepreneur?
Oh gosh, everything. Okay. I mean, it's no wonder that I teach people how to be entrepreneurs and build
Yeah,
businesses, because I love it. I love it
yeah.
so much. I nerd out to this stuff. Yeah, I love it. What I get most passionate about or most excited about is for myself or for folks, when you have this idea that's in your head, it's in your heart, and you make it real. It now lives in the world as something that is wanted, is desired, and is having an impact. Is there anything more thrilling than that?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's this sort of contagious energy when you speak to someone who has an idea, they want to start a business, and it's just this excitement that comes from it. Like you can see that it's going to work, you can see the passion inside of them as well, and just trying to like draw that out and get something going. And like you said, there's nothing more beautiful or exciting than seeing that come to life and then also seeing it thrive. Like that's really,
Yeah.
really exciting too.
Well, and also, like, you just kind of triggered this too, is the like seeing that we did it, like
Yes.
that, like, yes, I did that thing. I had this vision and I made it real, and I am so capable of anything.
Yeah.
That, I guess, empowering is I guess the basic word. It's empowering, but it is that I did it, I achieved it, I made it happen, and I did it my way, and
Yeah.
it's so, man, it's so powerful to be in that space, and that kind of, I did it energy, I'm capable energy, that just leaks into every aspect of our life. Entrepreneurship is such a mirror for us, for our lives, for our stuff, and I think
Definitely.
right? And like a lot of folks, when they start businesses, I think they're thinking of that end goal, they're thinking of that vision, and they are not ready for the personal growth that is required in order to bring that thing to life. I talked about imposter syndrome, putting yourself out there. So I think that's the other thing is how you have a whole personal growth journey attached to entrepreneurship that just changes the world. As we become better, like the world becomes better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So speaking about the world right now, I mean, it's no secret that we've been going through a pandemic and a lot of changes in businesses, etc. Can you share a little bit about how that has changed your business, whether for better or worse at the moment?
Yes. So how that's changed my business. I have so much to say on this, and it's interesting because, we're at the time of recording this, we're at mid-May. And so it's been a couple of months, and I feel like I've lived two lifetimes in the last 2 months. I was on a conversation today. I'm on a panel tomorrow, and so we were talking about just kind of running through it and talking about some of the topics we want to make sure we cover. And it's like people were talking about sort of states of mind they are in now. And I'm thinking, oh man, I remember that state of mind I was in 3 weeks ago. I totally forgot I was in that state of mind. Like one of the things that I did, so I'm a real doer by nature. I am a great person to have in a crisis because I just get stuff done.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
right. And as soon to all the doers out there, holler, because you know what? Sometimes we're not the most, loved people because we can be a little abrasive and a little to the point, and we're not as lovable as those friend personalities. But listen, we get stuff done.
Yeah.
So when this started to when it was obvious that we were going sideways and in a hurry, and that we would eventually here in Canada be on lockdown or on quarantine or whatnot, just from what we were seeing out in the world, immediately my mind went to my community and my audience, my students, and thinking, okay, these people are going to have to get digital quick. And I work with people who are new, generally under 3 years old. Right. And so they don't have a strong online presence. They don't have a strong sort of acumen or skill set in online building. And so I immediately put together an online social summit where I gathered 10 of my favorite experts in the world of online and digital marketing, and we put together a summit to be able to teach people how to get their businesses online. So I immediately jumped into action. But what was really interesting as well is I was not immune to the stress and the fear and the pressure and all the things that everyone else was. So I also got really sick at the same time.
Oh no.
Yeah, super sick. Really, really sick. I'm a person who's really prone to like lung stuff, so bronchitis, pneumonia, all that. And it hit. I mean, I was like, did I get the COVID? Did I get the Rona? Because it was in my lungs, right? But I think it was just a bacterial bronchitis, but I got really sick. And I forgot about that till we were on the panel this morning talking about it. And so, when we talk about how did this affect my business, between whipping into action to get this summit made, getting super sick, having to give myself permission to rest, and while also having the strength and the to push through and get the summit going and launched, it was again one of those points of holy crap, I can do anything. I can do anything. Look what I just created. But guess what? Like everybody else, I had my moment and then I'm done. I've hit my wall. I had about 3 days of like, I can't do anything. I'm exhausted and I'm tired, whatever. But a funny thing happens because, and I have a lot to say on this, so I'm going to keep talking, if that's okay, because so much happened. Anyways, for me, it was like when I finally hit that wall and took a step back, it was like a couple of questions started really going through my mind because my business didn't slow down. Like that is something I'm very thankful for. My business is actually sped up. It's been very busy. But I started to play with, if I'm online, if I'm virtual only, what does that mean for my business? And I started to think about, like everyone else who had suddenly all this time and space, am I happy? Is my business built in a way that makes me happy? And that was the biggest thing for me that I really took away, which is that I love what I do. But my business model, I haven't built it to really serve and honor the lifestyle I want. And that
Yes.
lifestyle that includes a lot more living abroad and travel. And I've somehow
Right.
created a business that requires me to be here, which isn't necessary. I think it's
Right.
just more of a block or a belief I had.
Right.
And so this has been great because it's allowed me to really challenge myself on what do I really want? What business model is most going to serve me? And who the heck am I if I'm not the radical connector? That was a
Right.
big question. If I'm
Mm.
not this person, if I take my business away, am I living the life that I want to live? And it was the whole experience, it was a very familiar experience
Mm-hmm.
because 11, 12 years ago, I went through a divorce. And it was the same kind of question. When you remove my spouse, when I remove,
Mm.
my life that I had built, and all I'm left with is me,
Right.
who am I and am I happy? And so this was the same thing. Thankfully, I'd been through it
Mm.
before, so I processed it a lot quicker. But it's like, okay, if my business is removed, if going to the pub with friends is removed, if all this stuff is removed, who am I and am I happy?
Mm-hmm.
And what's been really neat is that I'm not the only one. A lot of entrepreneurs are also, this is exactly what they're talking about. Am I happy? Is what
Yeah.
I'm doing what I want to be doing? And COVID really bullied people into taking
Oh, yes.
action before they were ready on things, whether it's getting online, right? Introducing a new product or service so that they could stay in business. And, it really was that opportunity to be able to explore, who am I? Am I happy? Is what I've built what I actually want? If I took it away, what's left? And really force our hands into getting into action and making the important changes that needed to happen. And that's what I want to say.
Absolutely. No, that's I'm so happy you shared that because it is definitely a very telling moment in time,
Hmm.
and it has for sure made tons of people, myself included, question what you do every day and question your values and question what you built. I mean, it was so crazy to see everything taken away from you so quickly
Yeah.
and then reevaluate. Okay, so am I happy? Like, is this still what I want to do? Is this still the life I want to lead? And it's it's very interesting that it like you said, it made you think, am I happy? Is this exactly what I want to do?
Yep.
It's made you question your business model, which I'm sure is very difficult. I mean, it took you so long to build up something, and now you're just like, now, okay, let's look at this differently, right? And so it's kind of a blessing in disguise, I think, as well, because it does make you stop kicking the can, and it makes you not like to stop, I guess, just not like taking action anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, we were kind of in this lull for a bit of just like, oh, well, we'll do this, whatever. But now it's actually reared its ugly head at us, been like, okay, face it. What do you actually want to do?
Yeah.
What is actually important to you? Yeah, thank you for sharing.
So true. Yeah. Well, and there's sort of like, there's the excuse makers, right? There's
Mhm.
the busy makers, right? Like, they're like, we're all at different places, and
Definitely.
what I'm seeing in my community specifically is the excuse makers are no longer making excuses, and they're
Mm,
acknowledging that they've been making excuses. And then
right.
there's the folks
Right.
like me who have been busy, 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 go, go,
Yeah.
go, that are going, okay, wait a minute, am I actually doing what I want to do here?
Right.
And it's really interesting because a lot of times busy entrepreneurs, they will say, man, I wish I had like a month where I could just go to the beach somewhere and work on this thing, or I could just stop working and do the thing. And it's like, that is precisely what we've been gifted with right now.
Yeah.
I say gifted with full acknowledgement that there's not everyone that has that privilege, and there's
Of
a lot of
course.
catastrophe and terrible things happening right now. I'm not
Of
making light
course.
of that.
Yeah.
But for those that
Absolutely.
have been dealt that hand of this gift of time,
Yeah.
what are you doing with it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. And I mean, I had this conversation with someone earlier this week. That was kind of me. I was the go, go, go person. I was at every event all the time. Earlier this year, I promised myself I'm not going to go to many events this year. And then look what happened. I'm not going to any events. So it's one of those things that like you mentioned, you got sick, you had to take time to really evaluate that. So whether that is a card that someone has been dealt, I do hope that you can take this time, really, really think and feel what that is, and hopefully change that for the better.
Absolutely. And you know what? If we were to break this down into lessons to take into your business, into your life, even after, we get back to whatever the new normal is,
Yeah.
it really is that the world won't fall apart and your business won't fall apart if you take a few days off
Yes.
and really take them off and really face the questions. Who am I if my business didn't exist? Is what I'm doing leading to the lifestyle I truly want? And am I happy?
Yeah.
And be really asking, I mean, at least once a quarter, just take a day or two and
Yeah.
really ask yourself that. And there's a common saying that you don't want to keep going in the same direction just because of how long or how much time or money you spent getting there, right?
Right. Right.
And it goes for our businesses too. If it's so easy to get on autopilot and to get excited by busyness and growth, but if we're going the wrong direction, if our ladder's up against the wrong wall, it doesn't matter how fast we climb that ladder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we really need to think about and checking in with ourselves and really, again, man, everything will still tick along if we take a few days off, and it's
Yeah.
okay to take a few days off frequently.
Yes, definitely. So on that note, do you have any strategies or things that you do to avoid burning out?
Oh, 100% yes, because like everybody, I used to burn out way too often. Yes. So okay. Everybody is going to be different. I might be a bit further along in my business than a lot of folks listening to this. I've also worked from home and worked in my own as my own independent person for
Right.
most of my life. So I've got, you know what I mean? Like I've got the gift of learning and experience. And if this isn't you, that's okay, but you can take what I suggest here and make it work for you. So first of all, my calendar where people can book appointments with me is not open 24/7. They're only 2 days a week. It's open for a certain amount of time, and that's it. I let people schedule with me twice a week. That's it. The rest of the time is mine.
That's
So
amazing.
one of the things that people will often, the trap will get caught in is thinking they have to be available all the time to all the people. And that's a really quick way to burn out. So really being a little more less giving with your time.
Yeah.
The other thing is I don't start working with any client facing or public facing work till 11 a.m. every day. I take the morning, well, I'm an early riser anyways, but I take the morning to chill, to walk, to exercise, to meditate, to journal, to, catch up on social, whatever I want. It's my time.
Yeah.
And then I always have a couple hours in the morning to work on behind the scenes stuff so that I get my stuff done first before I go into client public facing. That's really important as well. Every Friday I take off. I take Fridays for fun days. Right. And that was a really hard one to do at first. I used to try to sneak clients in or sneak in things. And that was like a hard and fast, no, Fridays are not a work day. They're a weekend for me. So those are 3 things right away that you can do in terms of how you manage your schedule and your timing of things. And then the other thing is really be paying attention to your energy levels. The what's that saying that's been going around? I love it, which is where if you hate the world, you probably need a nap, and if you think the world hates you, you just need to eat something.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
I hope we got those in the right order.
Eat
right?
something.
But it's I'm like I'm trying to think now if I got that in the right order, but it was so true when I read that. I'm like, oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the other way. I think it's if you hate the world, you need to eat, and if you think the world hates you, you need to sleep. I think that's what it is. Because I'm thinking of the hangry. I'm someone who gets hangry.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Me too. Oh my goodness.
Right. So if you want to not burn out, please get sleep. All right.
Eat and
Set
sleep.
yourself a bedtime. Yep. Eat food, right? Move your body, exercise. And then know your own signs of pre-burnout. For me, I start to get more emotional.
Right.
I start to get heartburn. I start to stay up late at like I can't sleep very well. My brain won't turn off. So really get to know yourself and your own signs and catch it. And this is where we talked about earlier, where things aren't going to fall apart if you take a day or two or even a week off. I promise you they're really not.
Yeah.
And so give yourself that time to just shut off and bring yourself back down. What you'll notice is throughout the year, you have like a burnout cycle. You'll have times where you're busier and it leads to burnout, and the times where it's slower and you're fine. try to avoid the burnout cycle and try to not overwork yourself and think, oh, I'll sleep when I'm on vacation, or I'll rest in the summer when things slow down. Try to avoid pushing yourself to the point of burnout, thinking you can rest later. Really get to know your cycle and just don't just build in time where there's more rest time, less work time, and more you time. Those are, I don't want to give you like 5 things right there, but do those 5 things.
No, those are all very, very valuable. And when I became an entrepreneur, I burned out all the time because I did not have that balance. And I've also implemented some of the same things that you have. I have the 11 a.m. thing too. And I've been laughed at so many times by people, but I'm just like, I just can't do it. If I have anything before that time, I'm not eating, I'm not focused, I'm not feeling like excited. Like if I have something at like 8 a.m., I'm not there, and it's not worth it for me. So I already know that that's just not something I can commit to. It's not going to work.
And you know what? And that's what works for you and me. But you know, if there's someone out there that loves to jump out of bed and get right to work, do that. Absolutely do it. But again, you want to exactly, but you want to think about how you can structure your day and your week so that there's balance. And by the way, friends, when we say balance, that doesn't just mean like everything has to be perfectly equal. I have to have this much time for exercise every day and this much time. No, it just means like, okay, so I'm launching next month. So I know I'm going to be really, 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 really busy. So I'm going to make sure I schedule at least one day off a week where I don't do anything, right? Or I'm going to schedule at least 3 hours every day, you know, or I know that I'm going to have a week at the end of my launch to rest and recuperate and not book any meetings. So it's balance isn't about everything being equal. It's about how am I going to balance out my energies when I'm going hard at one point and so I can go a little easier here, right?
Right. No, I love that. That's amazing.
And also too, I was going to say for like, and the women listening, remember that our cycles play a role, right? I mean, legit biology also plays a role. There are times in the month where we have more energy and times where we have less, and honor that. I watch so many women beat themselves up because they are so tired this week and don't have the same energy, and what's wrong with me? Why am I being so lazy? It's like, no, it's hormones. It's biology, right? Honor that. And then the times where you're high energy, go to town.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that is such an important thing to remember because we do not take that into account at all. And I mean, in the business world, it's not something that has ever been there. It's not something that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not something that we're allowed to kind of.
I was going to say, like, what? You mean we can't talk about like women's stuff in a patriarchal business world? Oh, weird.
I feel like if things were a bit different, every month there'd be 1 week that we all get off because sometimes you just can't physically do things.
Right. I don't know if anyone else here uses like a tracker on their phone, but I'm like, okay, I'm feeling really tired. What's going on? I'll look. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense where I'm at, you know. And I know we're getting all like cycle chatty right now, but it's about normalizing it. By the way, I'm gonna make a quick plug. If you're looking for another great podcast or another great book to check out, a friend of mine has a podcast called the Heavy Flow Podcast, and she's also written a book called The Heavy Flow, the Breaking the Curse of Menstruation, and it is all about the history of periods and women's health and I've learned so much, and can I tell you, I'm a little bit angry that this book taught me so much that I didn't already know because it's not a part of our regular conversations and knowledge.
Yes. It truly blows my mind that there is so much knowledge out there that isn't shared. I mean, I have tons of friends who have had kids recently and in the last few years, and the things that I learned from them, I'm like, why is this not something that is learned? Because, you know, it's just something that 50% of the population goes through every month, and it's just so ridiculous, you know, but it's good to know that there's a resource out there. I definitely will check that out, and hopefully other people do as well.
I will. It's so good. Heavy Flow Podcast. Her name's Amanda Laird, and she brings on some of the coolest other experts to talk to these things as well. Amazing. And, you know, like we could even talk about that too in terms of like entrepreneurship, or even honestly, it's not just entrepreneurship. Anybody who's like a stay-at-home parent with kids right now, while also trying to work their job or build their business, right? It is an intense time right now. And there's a lot of pressure going around. People are beating themselves up. they're feeling they should be able to do more. They're frustrated.
Yeah.
I think, right? Do you notice that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot. One thing, actually, I just read a quote right before this that stuck with me because I've been hearing the whole thing of we're in the same boat, we're in the same boat, we're in
Yeah.
the same boat, which for sure is not true. I read we're not in the same boat, we're in the same storm. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, that's so good. That is like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
We're in the same storm because none of us are in the same boat. None of us are going through the
No.
same thing. I mean, little things here and there, but it's just something that I truly do think is relevant because that term "we're in the same boat" is just not
No.
true.
Well, because I get that the notion is that we're all in this together, right? I
Right,
get that.
right.
But it's so true. We're not all in the same boat. And
Yeah,
you know, a lot of folks have processed already. Some are still very much in the emotion of the survival mode that this is kicking in. I
yeah.
mean, this is bringing up so many emotions and triggers and
Mhm.
fears and like there's just so much coming up.
Yeah,
And even that comment about being in the same boat, no, we're not, because some people have the tools to process this, some don't. Some
yeah,
have the money to afford therapists, some don't. Some have a partner to help them through this, some don't.
yeah.
And so, really, truly, this is such a period of time where it's about finding some self-compassion and gentleness for ourselves to be able
Definitely.
to process. And much like we talked about reaching out to entrepreneurial friends when you have questions and need help, same thing here. If it's emotional, if it's whatever, you need to talk, reaching out to people.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who are alone right now and don't have
Yeah.
anybody, and it is starting to really take a toll.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, keeping in touch is
Yeah.
super important and just being mindful of what other people are going through, even if it's not something that you can understand.
Yeah, exactly. Again, understanding that we are not all experiencing the same experience, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And again, this is another one of these lessons that we get to take with us into the future. It's
yeah,
not just for right now. It's in the future. How am I looking at how other people are experiencing life differently? How am I able to show up and support? How am I able to ask for support? How can I be
yeah.
more gentle with myself? Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to change things up a little bit. I have a quarantine speed round that I want to go through with you.
Okay.
So I just want you to answer whatever comes to mind, first thing that you think of.
All right.
Um, so your takeout food of choice,
I don't actually really eat takeout.
or
Yeah.
maybe the thing that you've been eating the most.
Okay, so I mean, oh gosh, I can't. So I watched that documentary, What the Health. Have
Oh,
you guys
okay.
seen it on Netflix?
I
And it's
haven't seen
all
it, but
about
I've heard of it.
plant-based. It's all about plant-based diet. And I used to be plant-based and I got out of it, and it's just reinvigorated my plant-based lifestyle. And
Oh.
so right now, I mean, veggies and hummus. Just so much veggies and hummus.
That's awesome. Okay, so I don't know if this is the same answer, but Netflix guilty pleasure.
Oh man, where did I just watch The Last Kingdom? If
Oh,
you haven't
okay.
watched it
I
yet,
haven't,
go
no.
and watch it. Yeah, they just launched season 4. I watched it in like 3 days, and now I have to wait like a year and a half, 2 years till the next one. I'm very
Oh,
sad.
yeah. It will be a long time now if it's a new
I
season,
know.
right?
I know. But yeah, Last Kingdom, go watch it. It's good.
Okay, cool. What item of clothing have you worn the most?
The black yoga pants that I'm wearing right now that I literally wear every day, wash and then put back on.
Me too. Me too.
It has these great side pockets that are really long for like my
It's
phone and
all
like
about the pockets.
all the
Yes,
things.
I completely agree with that. Yes. What has your actual daily routine look like?
My actual daily routine. Okay, so I wake up, I go for a walk or run or something. I do a bit of meditating. I make these homemade hot chocolates with yummy cashew milk and organic cocoa powder and a bit of stevia. Oh, it's so good. I
Nice.
have that, and I'll hop on my computer and I might play around with some work I'm doing behind the scenes or chat with people, do some client work, and then usually by about 2 o'clock I'm kind of done, and I usually just watch Netflix.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of my quarantine routine. I kind of just watch
Yeah.
Netflix, and then honestly, you guys, I'm kind of in bed by 6 o'clock these days. I'm not even gonna lie, but I get up at 6, so it kind of evens out.
I love it. I love it. Have you done anything out of the ordinary, like create a new project or a hobby?
Okay, well, I would say that coming back to living vegan has been a big thing. I've been doing a lot of I mean, like everyone else, I got into baking. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Even before it was a trend, I didn't know. I just was baking things because I guess that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I bought myself a mix master and everything. Like
Oh,
legit, I
nice.
know.
So
I have
good.
different flours and things now. And so
Yeah.
I think, yeah, baking and then revisiting and getting back into vegan and learning how to cook some cool recipes, which you guys, I'll be honest, is not something I gave myself permission or time to do before.
Mm.
Right. And so it's very exciting to prioritize that right now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Have you read any books?
Always. I've always got books on the go. Okay.
What are you
So
currently reading, maybe?
I just watched last night. I watched Taylor Swift's documentary on Netflix.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And she made a comment about having to deprogram the internalized misogyny in her brain. And so I have just
Mhm.
recently got a couple of books on my Kindle, and the one I just started was Women's Inhumanity to Women. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm just digging into that. I'm like maybe 10 pages in. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds like a good
Little
one.
little light quarantine reading,
Yeah. Beach reading.
right?
Do you have any funny stories on FaceTime or Zoom calls that you've had?
Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, but I can't think of them right now. But I literally can picture us all laughing our faces
Yeah.
off, but I
Like
can't
anyone
I
in
can't come.
underwear?
Do you know what? I will say this though. It wasn't a recent one, but it's the funniest thing of ever. So I have an online academy, an online business school, and one of my earlier cohorts, we were going through, and two of them are business partners, and they were on separate Zooms, and we're all talking, and all of a sudden the one gal goes, "So and so just farted." And we all lost it. I mean, it was like 10 minutes of just laughing. We could
So
not
their
bring it back
mute
in.
wasn't on.
Oh, no, well, their mute was on. I guess you could tell by their face. I don't know. It was hilarious. And then we got into talking about the smells and the sounds and the things.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was a very, very funny, bonding, amazing experience. And it's where the term fart responsibly came from. This is we were all like, we're getting it put on a shirt, guys, fart responsibly. So I will share that. But thankfully
I
they
love
were
it.
mute, but it didn't matter because their friend called them out.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. I love it. That's a really, really good one.
Right?
Where is the first place you will travel when we're allowed to?
Okay, so one of the things that came up for me when I talked about am I living my lifestyle that I want? No, because I want to travel more. So on my
Yeah.
list is to go to Portugal for a few months and
Oh,
set up
Portugal's
shop there
amazing.
and yeah,
Yes.
and go live on some beaches and
Yeah.
work remotely from there. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. What is one thing that you hope doesn't change and that you want to keep from quarantine?
Hmm. One thing that doesn't change. Minimum wage, a minimum universal wage would be lovely.
Yep.
And accessibility to working remotely for people who are not able to go into an office.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
No, I completely agree with that one.
Yeah.
If you could describe COVID or quarantine with one word, what would it be?
Bastard.
Love it. Yep.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else that you feel called to speak about or that you want to share that maybe you're working on and you want to promote with us?
Um, oh, okay. Well, those are two different things. The one thing I'm called to say really quickly, you guys,
Share,
really
called
quickly.
to say. Yep, go for it.
The one thing I'm called to is the one thing that's really come out of this conversation, Lindsay, is are you happy?
Yep.
Are you happy? And if you're not happy, what can you do to find some happiness in your life, big or small? I think that's the big thing right now, the big takeaway. And I mean, yeah, you guys, you know what? If you're looking for a fun entrepreneurial community to come hang out with, I have one called Rad Connectors on
Mhm.
Facebook,
Yep.
and we do tons of free workshops. We do a lot of like member curated stuff. Come and hang out with us. It's a huge resource. You'll meet some really great people, your next business best friend, and get lots of free learning and tools.
Very cool. Is there any other links that you want to share with us about your business?
I mean, you can go check out my website if you want, theradicalconnector.com. I mean, I guess there's that. Yeah, it's theradicalconnector.com. If you're an entrepreneur or a wantrepreneur and you are really struggling to understand the what and how of building a business, really not connecting to your client or growing at a rate that you know you could be, connect with me. I do. Again, I have free resources. I have awesome programs. I do one-on-one work, a little bit here and there, but also I've got online programs. Truly, it's been for me 18 years of teaching folks how to build a business. I love it, and I love teaching people how to do it, specifically how to do it your way, in a way that feels good for both you and your clients. And just as I said, gets you rocking a business that people are in love with and can't stop talking about.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. We'll definitely put the links in the show notes as well. But yeah, thank you so much for everything. I'm loving what you're doing and what you've created. Take care of yourself. No burning out anymore and getting sick. But yeah, thank you so much. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your week.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lindsay. And thanks to everybody listening. I look forward to connecting with y'all real soon.